yes, I'm here with Mickey again. Aren't I?
Yeah,
What it
yeah,
is
I had to,
is-
yeah, sorry.
It's been pushing this video under my nose for a little while now, and we've looked at it. So, this video was out 11 years ago. It says Western Libyan Desert, Egypt.
I saw it.
Says Egypt. So, we took a little bit of it, but, I mean, when we're going through the footage, I said, Mickey, it looks like it's all mined. And then it's like, oh, what are those mounds? So what we're going to do is we're going to talk over the top of the little bit of the journey. But if you go to his channel, it's about 15 minutes long, isn't it, Mickey?
Yeah, yeah.
Just,
that.
just filming it. There's no words, but they film it. But anyway, let's go to the video. Well, it said Egypt. Yeah, so they're in Libya looking at Egypt because it says Egypt. But anyway.
Well, anyway.
But anyway, what it is we're looking at these kind of like structures, and they're kind of. I mean, that kind of looks too round. I mean, doesn't it? That looks too uniformed for it to be natural. But we're in the car with them, and
I said, see what you see, didn't I?
yeah, and it also looks like it's been completely mined, completely abandoned, completely dumped on. These are them. Dumped this stuff there. Look at that one. It looks like a. Well, what does that look like to you?
I wonder.
A pyramid. Anyway, carry on, Mickey.
But this is the thing when I saw it years ago, when we was on the phone with Trinity. And this reminded me of the mining. I thought, well, you ain't seen mining till you think. So you're thinking.
They're not that big, though, are they?
Oh, they are. Oh, they are. You see what I'm saying? And yet, this is like rock. This is rubble rock. And yet, sometimes you'll see like. Fuse it. If you go into the video itself, you'll actually stoning. It's like a seventh wonder of the world to me.
That's what they look like. They look like they've been dumped. There's buildings in there.
Well, there's buildings on the ones on the top. Well,
I mean, the ground.
The buildings were on top of that, as you saw there's rocks in between them. It could also be big.
Well, they're filming this for quite a distance, isn't it? You must have gone a.
Yes, in them.
As you can see, bricks in there.
Yeah, as you've noticed.
It's been destroyed.
Mine.
What's
this is it, you know. They don't want you there, do they? I wish someone would make sense of it.
Is that a pyramid? Shapes of some of them, but anyway, thanks for drawing this to our attention, Mickey. So, what's everybody else's thoughts then? Looks destroyed to me.
And mine.
Mined. Always mined. We have to be mined. I think we're the great grandchildren of the miners. Anyway, thank you, Mickey.
Thank you,
and thank you to this channel. It's 11 years old, and go over to the channel and watch the whole thing.
It's wonderful. It's the downside is obviously the Wi-Fi. It's like I watch something for about 2 minutes and it normally stops. It's like near impossible. So I'm taking that as a sign from the universe to just go and co-create and create.
Mind you, you can't have it both ways, James. If you're in the countryside, you can't have it both ways.
Oh, well, this is definitely the better choice.
Yeah, lucky you.
I mean,
I'd send a couple wire on
the last sort of year. Sorry? Say again.
Say it again.
Oh, sorry, a copper wire on a balloon and just let it go. Very thin wire. It might work. like a sat balloon.
You can go, look, there's James over there.
It's my new Santa balloon.
We wouldn't see it, would we? But
you're in the valley, though, aren't
hey,
you?
James, can I copy a few of your videos?
Portugal, yeah.
Because I mean, we came for a hangout, and I've only taped the last couple of minutes, but it wasn't very good anyway. But I'll take the last couple of minutes of you yapping away. It's a bit bad, really. A lot of our friendships recorded. And I'll take a couple of those little videos and put together that obviously we're wishing you well and everything.
Oh, God, yes.
And that you're doing your magician's work in Portugal now.
It's magical, really. From day one, it was, you know, you've built your own oasis, James.
Because it's like,
Yeah. It's like from his own hands. That's the real thing for me. From scratch.
a few lemon and orange seeds, which I'm hoping will germinate. Because that's another thing. The rewards are sort of like that sense of achievement. It's like I can do this for myself, and
well, you did my garden. You did my garden very nicely, James.
Thank you.
So if you could tidy up my garden like that, I can only imagine that you would have been well okay where you're going, really. But you're doing even more now, and maybe it's bringing out talents he didn't even know he had.
Landscaping.
Yeah, landscaping Portugal.
The land again. Yeah, the way it should be. Natural.
I enjoy. They've got these strange, like terracotta, hollow bricks, so like honeycombs in the squares. So there's some it's like old looking terracotta. So I've put them up right, and them as planters, and then 3 of these bits of patching I sort of tied together a bit of old rope, made them like chimney pots. So they're like upright planters. So I've got like a background feature. I'll do a video on it. Sort of from the top, it's sort of finalised around the teepee. But it's now just working on the slopes and things and all the other jobs, bits and pieces to do.
I'm saw that.
James has made his home.
Nothing quite.
James has made his home.
Well, there is nothing quite like having a shower in a little sort of cubicle where you've got blue sky as a roof. The sun,
Yeah, that's quite amazing, James.
It's an amazing shower.
Hello everybody. This now completed first phase operational communal shower.
It's gravity fed and it's solar heated. I mean, what could be better? There's no electricity involved at all. It's fantastic. It's all using nature.
Yeah. Cool.
And I use the word gravity fed.
Shower looks nice, James.
It's heavy. It's fantastic.
Cobblestones and everything. Out in the nature. Open the door.
Yeah, he's got like
in front of you.
He's got like a 5-star shower in the open.
I shit you. People do pay for that, unfortunately. Thousands of pounds.
I liked it when Trinity 4 was having a bath outside.
Yeah.
In one of his videos.
Okay.
But nothing like
natural. Yeah, it's the way to do it, really. One with nature.
But the difference between this world and the outside world is like you want to drink water, you turn a tap on. Here you got to go for a lovely pleasant walk down to this cave, but it's natural water.
Tasty.
And that's what so every day I go down with 2 glass jugs and then bring water up. I enjoy the walk. It's lovely.
Well, that's good.
Murray made a beautiful job of that shower floor because a lot of the stone it's almost like it's a lot of the stone here you hit it with a hammer and it shatters like flint.
Oh wow.
He went and the genuine sort of more sort of oval stones and then made a sort of compass pattern in the middle by the drain,
Yeah, the
and
plug hole,
it's made a fantastic job of it. Oh yeah,
natural draining down.
it's a beautiful experience, that shower. Yeah.
Yeah, lovely thing. Lovely big square shower head.
Even that water from the shower goes down into the valley, so it sort of filters through and feeds stuff,
Sorted.
trees and things. So
They're working as one then, isn't it, with nature?
yeah, it's fabulous. Mm.
How long have you been there now, James?
Generally, I think this is about 6 weeks.
Wow, already? Oh, yeah, I suppose.
About,
Yeah, my dad died in the middle of it all. I've lost a few weeks, so yeah, his funeral's on Monday.
yeah. You got to go about this.
No, just he's being buried in Thatcham.
Oh right.
Yeah.
Ah.
My mum's going to come and live down here, but we're at this bit. We've got to get past the next bit now, the funeral, which I'm quite upset, really. But yeah, I can't believe he's been gone like 4 or 5 weeks already. Nearly 5 weeks on tomorrow. That's just.
Wow.
No, you were 6 weeks. You were just before. Yeah, there you go. Then I went to my mum's, and then. Yeah, it all happened, but yeah.
Yeah, just allow the grieving process, and then time is a healer.
Yeah. Well, I don't think you ever get over losing people you really love, to be honest. But as the days go on, it gets probably a bit easier.
Yeah. It's the one thing that is guaranteed, isn't it? The physical, but they're called remains because they remain. They can't go anywhere else. They're part of this reality. So, but we're not these physical bodies. I was having a conversation with myself the other day. It's like higher self and lower self. It's like, don't you complain about the heaviness of that bucket. You chose those stones. You take the responsibility. Yeah. So I'm talking to myself in my head like this. But it's true. It's like I can't complain because I select the boulders to carry, and like I chose to carry all of them in one go. It helps keep you fit.
There's only a couple of things. You obviously you can't beat
What have I
death.
done?
That's one thing you can't, and you can't change the weather. Everything else, you can, even I suppose when you're ill, you can think about how you feel and be a different person through it all. So. But there's two things you can't change, but the rest you can.
Well, you can. I feel you can slow the aging process up, and that takes the time.
Well, is that by being happy? Just be happy and you'll stay young forever.
Well, yeah, and a diet of just living on fruits, because even with vegetables, they're gaseous. That's why people get flatulence. They're a little bit harder to break down, but fruit, not only that, you think like potatoes, you plant them, but then you've got to dig them up. Or a carrot, you pull it out of the ground, and then, yeah, you can cut the top off and you can replant the top, but you've got seeds for next year. But you've killed the vegetable, as it were. But you think with fruit, it's freely given, it's a windfall. In its sort of most natural form, you just hold your hand out and like an orange would drop in your hand. I had a close thing. I was walking past the lemon tree and I had a fact, and I saw the lemon. I thought, it's obviously saying have that one. But yeah, fresh lemon, it's lovely. That's the other thing is like it's good to be in 12 coffees a day. I'm going down to maybe 2, maybe 3 coffees a day, and the rest of the time it's water or it's lemon or orange.
I think when it's warmer, James, you want to drink a lot more water than you do. You know, you don't want to walk around with a 2-pack of Coke. You want to walk around with a bottle of water when it's hot.
You squeeze a lemon in it.
Yeah.
Well, that's what all holidays were for me.
The oranges and the
Just got to carry a bottle of water everywhere you go.
Pay for that lemon.
But then again, it's like consider this a plastic bottle. Ideally, you want a glass bottle. There's no substitute really. I mean, plastic. Friend of mine, she's got a water testing kit, and she tested Scottish tap water, a puddle, and bottled water. And the bottled water came out with the worst reading, would you believe? Worse than the puddle.
Really?
Just showed. Yeah, because of the plastic. I mean, I can't find it, but I have seen a meme saying it, depending on the shape of those plastic bottles, is allegedly, it's like if it's got this shape of indents, it's a good one to drink. That's ones for the masses, and because there's all that thing with food, and those in secret societies are told which brands to buy, and like buy ketchup in the glass jars, never in the plastic bottles, things like that. I don't know how true that is, but again, it's plastic. It's like, well, what do you do with it? I'd be looking at it, right? Okay, that is recycled.
No, I get that one. I get that one, James.
I would personally,
It's not the water; it's the plastic.
Yeah. Well, there's certain things. Well, you think about it, garden furniture. If you leave it out all year, it goes brittle and snaps because of the hot and the cold. So that is very fine. And it's like, is that why they've encouraged everybody to have double glazing with basically plastic window frames? Because there's no escaping the damn stuff these days.
Yeah, and they're in your shoes. They stop you connecting to the earth.
Yeah.
Even our shoes. You know, we used to have leather, sole-based shoes, and now we wear plastic shoes. Like Mickey's wearing them. They stop you connecting with the earth.
You need
yeah.
Oh, God, yeah. It's in the clothes that we wear, isn't it? No.
That's another thing, and actually good reminder.
And also materials. I put one out on Unscrambled the other day about materials to wear and not to wear. So don't wear spandex.
Wool was the best, isn't it?
You need something, that's got a good frequency.
Yeah. I just thought cotton probably would be the...
Yeah.
A lot of cotton was used nowadays.
Cotton would be good in the hot weather, but that's the other thing, the pace of life. It gets to like between 2 and roughly about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, it's too warm to really do anything. But the way I tailor it, it's like the other day, it's like, right, when it gets really hot, I'm going to go in the kitchen, because these earth brick buildings are lovely and cool inside. And I'll get that hard shell off the lemon and the orange seeds. Because that's what I tried just planting them. Because naturally an orange will just drop, or a lemon will just drop and then disintegrate, and the seed goes in the ground and then hopefully will take. But to germinate them, you've got to put them in warmth and darkness for 12 to 14 days. And there's a hard shell that needs to come off of them. They're very fiddly to do, but I thought that's something I can do because I can be in the shade in that really hot part. But yeah, it's a beautiful way of life. No regrets whatsoever about this. I thoroughly recommend it.
You feel like you've gone to paradise, James?
It is, definitely. It's an absolute wonder. Every day.
I say it does beat a dole office in where you lived in Scotland.
Yeah.
Out of mind, out of sight, out of sight, out of mind now. Never again on that.
Every day there's beautiful, a different colour butterfly, or there's some amazing things around here. There's a grasshopper the other day. I thought it was a bird. It was that big.
Wow.
And it's sat on this tree and looking just like a piece of wood. And it's like, as usual, I haven't got the phone handy. So I thought, hopefully, and it stayed there. So I was able to get a photo of it. I thought, yes.
That's like when I was in South America in the jungle, and my friend's wife says, "Nick, look over there." And I'm looking on this grass next to a bush, and I'm going, I can't see nothing. She said, there, right in front of you, like 5 foot away. I'm going, I can't see nothing. And it's until it moved that it was a massive monitor lizard.
Wow.
Took the life out of me. I couldn't even see it. And it's like, because she's like native to the jungle, she could see everything that I couldn't. Do you know what I mean? And you'll experience that, James. You're going to start experiencing that. Especially with that.
Yeah, we're hiding, you can't see us.
But once you stay still and you see the nature moving, it's wow. You know, a different world altogether.
there's lots of little geckos and lizards floating about. So they seem with the background of the building or the rock things.
Yeah.
It's only when they move, there you are. But yeah,
Amazing thing.
Yeah, you should start this. You should say "living free."
Yeah, this is freedom, isn't it?
not quite, because I
You
need
still have
to
of course.
Get rid of your phone.
Oh, well, that's costing nothing, so.
Cool.
That's okay,
it's
James. I'm only James. I'm only joking.
It's working on off a hotspot signal anyway, so it's not. I'm not even.
Yeah, the last 10 minutes,
Right.
it's taped it. Well, last sort of, well, what are we? 20, but the last 15 minutes, we've heard nearly every word you said before that. You're going, I was like, oh no, we can't even hear how James is really doing.
Got good signal now.
But it's okay now.
That's the nature of the internet here. The mast is sort of over the hill somewhere.
You're far away. So James reporting from the hills of Portugal.
Don't tell them on the mountains.
And this, dear friends, is the home of the luckiest dog in the world. Imagine having a kennel like this, double glazed, sliding doors, ventilated roof, tiled roof. There he is, having his siesta. There's Buddy, out for the count in the hot of the day. What I wanted to show you was this is an earth brick construction. Imagine that vapour canopy. You've got a tsunami and it's a huge sludge. A mixture of all sorts of debris, woodland, trees, everything. And that red rain, which is probably clay. Now, all these earth brick buildings in Portugal, traditional structure, seems to have these terracotta sort of bricks, which are then filled with cement and then stacked one on top of the other, and then the earth brick is built around it. If you look at it closely with earth brick, water damage. Too much water it will just go again, and it reveals what it's constructed of. So you've got a piece of tree branch in there. Now consider melted buildings and earth brick. Similar sort of process. If you've got something that is drying out, and then the effect of water and heat and light will do one of two things. It will reveal structure underneath, or it will encase a structure, and that, I feel, a lot of these so-called melted buildings, if you imagine there was like even a 50-foot tsunami came over and took all these trees out, and it came down, and say if this was a much bigger building, a tower with another floor, it would probably take the top floor off, and then the lower floor, it would just be covered in like a deluge of almost like cataclysm earth bricks, and just fuse with the structure that's underneath, which then gives rise to, oh look, melted building. But just look at what you can see, and I feel, I'm not saying it's the case in all buildings, but certainly the physical evidence here would suggest something that you can see in what are called melted buildings.
Well, it might as well be a different planet entirely. It's so different.
Wow.
I suppose, like you say, you don't
Contact.
particularly see that many people, do you?
No, hardly any.
Except who's in your community.
Yeah, there's only 4 or 5 of us here, so I see them every day, but it's like Keith and Gro. I've seen them briefly this morning, but I haven't seen them since they're up the other end, the north side of the middle, as it were. Yeah, so we're sort of a community, but we also, I mean, I like my alone time as much as anything else anyway. I like just pottering and doing bits and just
Forgetting the world exists, James.
Doing your bit and forgetting the world.
Right, we don't like him anymore now because we have to live in the world, you know, in this horrible, horrible thing, and James is free. We do, we love you,
Well,
James. I'm just happy that you've, yeah.
Well, the thing is, like, you got to have the wish and want this sort of thing. Because I was apprehensive for a long time because I didn't feel ready. I needed that year in that sort of hermit mode in Scotland. So then it's like, well, yeah, I've got nothing to lose. Go for it. And I got absolutely no regrets. It's like, I don't want to leave. I've only ventured out twice from this place.
What did that feel? You felt alien when you left, James. Alien.
Well, it's funny, all the things that you'd see on Facebook, all the hot topics and things, they've got no meaning at all now. It's like, and, you know, it has no relevance whether there's a war going on with the Ukraine and Russia, or I don't know what else is happening. Was it a coronation, I think?
Yeah.
On the 6th of May. That's 2 3s, 6th.
Yeah, I've seen a calculation. It was 60 days after something or other and 6 months after something else, and it's all calculated dates. But the thing to take from that, it's like with the orange seeds and the lemon seeds have started to germinate. I've done a number sequence, so I thought, well, if they can do it, we can do it. Because clearly...
James, we don't need them.
No, but clearly...
They're just a big bunch of poo lies.
From the evidence I've seen that your thoughts create this reality, it's like those onions, they just came. I'd only put out the wish the day before, which I had some onions, and then Murray just came up in conversation. It's like, put a post-it note out there, don't think about it, don't worry about it, or when it'll happen, and it just happens.
Are you going to grow things like permaculture?
Yeah, oh yeah. Well,
right, we're moving in with James.
Forever and ever.
We want your shower, James.
Yeah, definitely that one.
The thing was, I was doing the permaculture before, and somebody said, "Oh, you're a natural at permaculture," and I said, "What's permaculture?" Because I didn't even realise the thing. I was just doing it. It's like you look at like a plastic box, and it's like rather than put it in the bin, it's like I find a use for that. But there's obviously a balance. You're not hoarding too much of things that you're never going to use. But
just to explain to people who don't understand what permaculture is, it's like all the vegetables are growing together, but the ones growing together can grow together. And so basically, when you go out there, my friend in Denmark did it. You know, you just go out there, I'll have a couple of onions, a couple of those, and then it just keeps on growing and growing and, yeah, and seeding itself.
Well, yeah, that's part of it. But
and you don't have to worry so much about it. It's not about digging little trenches and, you know, this thing's just growing, wildly.
You can cut your tree to make it grow more fruit just by certain cuttings.
There's a classic example of, if you think back to, like, say, to the 1960s onwards, the sitcom comedies, things like Porridge, Terry and June, all that. Do you remember all those sort of shows?
Yeah. Man About the House.
Whenever there was gardening featured as part of the scene, you always had a man who would stand up from digging with a fork and doing that gesture like he's hurt his back. And that subtle gardening is effort, but gardening is going to make you ill. You see what they've done on humanity, right at that subtle level.
Yeah.
Oh, we're just as bad. We go to the plastic. We go to the plastic supermarket, but really we need to grow our own vegetables. I mean, I put videos out a few years ago with growing micro things on the window ledge. You know, that's like salad cress. You can, you know, if you live in a flat or you haven't got enough room, you can just grow the smaller stuff. You know, in your flat, and some of it goes in the airing cupboard for a bit and comes out and so forth. But you can grow it small. You can grow it on your window ledges. But obviously, the person, he's called permaculture. He's doing it in his, you know, that's his life. Is this whole patch that it's all the vegetables growing together. And then I can't remember his name now. Oh, he had a farm that he did it, and he showed you it was all growing together and what he was reaping. And that's probably the best way to grow everything. That's probably how they grew it in the olden days.
Well,
They didn't
yeah,
go, let's make
not only
rows of
that-
everything. They just grew it, throw the seeds and it'll all take off.
Mm.
You got a whole variety of herbs and things, thyme and parsley, mint, all things like that you can grow in a very small area.
Oh, you're going to be an
And-
alchemist, aren't you, James?
Yeah, well, you get it. It's amazing it's how it enhances and changes flavours of food. But that's another thing you notice with the system food. You've got heavy influx of chili flavoured this, reggae flavoured that.
Well, a few years ago when Lisa, do you remember Lisa's the one that paints on the pavements, if you ever see her posts?
Mm.
She came to stay at my house.
Yeah, yeah.
And we had nettle and these other leaves, and she did make a soup with potato, but we put all the nettles in it. So we had nettle soup.
Yeah,
Yeah, I've
Yeah,
had
that's,
nettle soup. I've had nettle soup, yeah.
Mint tea.
it's not just that. You've got medicinal value to a lot of these herbs and spices. There's certain things in them that are good for the body.
Mm.
So
Which they now
Garlic,
give
yeah,
you in a
is good for-
farmer pill, when really you should be having it naturally. And, you know, a lot of the farmers' wives' tales, which we thought were farmers' wives' tales, were the reality.
yeah, well the pharmaceutical supplements and things are just basically synthetic versions of something that's natural. But it's because it's synthetic, that's where the problem is. It's like they're missing part of the code. I mean, you think of how amazing, take a little seed and you can look at two seeds, like which one's going to germinate, but inside there's a program. And if the conditions are right, before you know it, you've got a tree that's producing fruit or something. It's amazing. That's the only program that you
And-
need, really.
You know, a lot of the things only need the water. That's the amazing thing, is they germinate in the dark.
Yeah.
They only
Oh,
need
yeah.
water to do it.
Isn't there another thing where they say if you want your plants to heal you, you spit on them, spit on the seeds, so it takes up your DNA.
Yes.
So the plant grows
Yeah,
what
it-
you need to where
Yeah.
it's unhealthy.
Well, that's amazing, isn't it?
Well, one way of doing it is to put the seed in your mouth.
Oh, Mickey
So
thought
you-
he was really
you-
clever then, James.
James knows that.
Oh, it's all right. That was a good one. I like that,
It's
Mickey.
like James
yeah.
just said, you put it in your mouth.
Yeah, carry on, James.
He knows.
The critical part is it's got to be the minimum of 9 minutes. Then you make a hole in the prepared ground, and then put the seed in and spit in. And you don't water it for 3 days. That will encode the seed with your DNA, so it will grow to suit your body needs.
What, suddenly
That's the right way to
suddenly
do
a
it.
human starts coming out of the ground.
No, but
I know.
Not true.
But suddenly I get 5 Mickeys out coming out of the ground.
Faces.
It's-
But no, it's true.
it's where they've used this, where they've exploited it with Marmite. You love it or hate it. There is actually a truth behind that. So, because I looked into this and I asked which is the salt that's in Marmite, and you need 12. There's 12 essential salts for the body. So you count from the time of conception, which is normally 9 months before the time of birth. So in those zodiac signs that correspond with those salts, you're fine, but you'll be deficient in the 3 that would make up the 12. So this is why some people do like Marmite. So I think Gemini, Taurus, and I think Aries will like Marmite. Probably someone who's Sagittarius will dislike it intensely because they've got sufficient salt of that salt in their body. Because it's all what's drawn through the umbilical cord, naturally, to do with I suppose it would be lunar cycles. So there's definitely something in that. But going in seawater is 2 of the most essential salts, which will help cure a lot of things, eczema.
That's
things
really
on the
strange,
skin.
isn't it, James? Because when you think about it, think of all the poo and the rotted animals, even rotted humans, rotted everything in the water, and yet now you say that actually 2 salts in the sea are what we need. Crazy, that, isn't it? When you think
Well,
about
salt
it,
is,
dead dead plants, dead animals, dead humans.
Well, obviously the salt helps in the breakdown process of these things as well. And not only that, they'd sink to the generally seabed anyway. So they're doing. I mean, this is why industrial farming is such a disaster. You look at nature; it doesn't leave exposed areas of topsoil. It's always covered. So this is why you put tree bark and mulch and things down. It not only keeps the moisture in, the wind isn't blowing the topsoil away. This is why the farming is such a horrendous example of where man tries to take on nature like it's something it's got to overcome instead of working with it. This is what we're doing here. We're working with nature. I've got a sort of lucky dip area. I've just thrown some seeds down and let nature do the rest. So what's going to come up, I don't know. They're a mixture. But that's all part of the farm as well.
Isn't it?
And if you think about it, some seeds are like dandelions. They're wind blown, and wherever they land, some will take, safety in numbers. So it's like if I plant 100 seeds, if 50 take, good. And allow for some that won't. If they all fail, they're probably GMO, all made in China.
Yeah, now you can put on there, made by James.
Yeah. Well,
yeah, James.
We've got these Jeep tours that come past. It's normally about 5 in the afternoon. They normally seem to have fairly full loads, 3 or 4 people in them. And I thought, we could make lemonade and just put it out there and say that would give them an extra sort of selling point on their tour. And there's a refreshment stop where you can get free lemonade, and then just say, if you'd like to show your appreciation, any donation. So there's no trading, and it doesn't even have to be a financial trade. They might have tobacco or something, and it's like, yeah, I'll give you the lemonade for the tobacco, and anything else we produce here. It's been in. This is what the whole system.
Yeah. When I was in Turkey the last time, we were on a day trip, and they were explaining this place that we were going through, and they said once a year they had this market where they did that. So people bring their jams or their fruits, and they trade.
Yeah.
And that was Turkey. So obviously that's how we were.
Well, yeah. Really,
or maybe not for everything, but this is how we lived. And then maybe you had money for, well, you know, that dress you want to buy, then you had to spend money on things like that, or clothes, or I need to buy a horse. But maybe all the other stuff they traded because they were poor.
Well, if you think about it, like with fruit and vegetables, they're seasonal. So there'd be times where you haven't got a particular thing, so you may have a piece of paper you give to the other person, so it's an individual agreement between 2 people. It's like, well, I haven't got any oranges at the moment, but as soon as they're in season, I'll give you so many. So you give them a piece of paper, and then you honour that. That piece of paper is just like a receipt. It's an agreement between 2 people, which is fine. But it's like everything else. When you've got a system that's involved, who's now going to say, well, we've got to have administration fees, and we've got to be able to do this and that, and we're taking some of it. That's where it goes horribly wrong. This whole centralisation of things, it's like everything comes from source, but everything doesn't have to go back to an artificial source. It's basically look at the outside world, and it's an example of how not to do things. But it's also guiding. It's like this sensitive on YouTube. There's certain keywords and things which I won't say any of them because you know what will happen. Mm-hmm. But to me, that is saying it's like, oh, that's an interesting challenge. It's like, well, I can't say it that way, so I'll just be creative, use my imagination, find other ways to say it. So I can talk about the thing between 4 and 6. And the letter F and the letter H without actually saying what it is, and it would get around the senses. People will know what you mean by that without. It's not difficult to work out, but
yeah, it's like getting the shit.
It's around the words.
Do you know what? Now the phone isn't James. Now the phone's not messing around. I would never be able to tell if you were in Scotland or Portugal. There's no time delay. now the signal's really good. It sounds like, you know, there's no delay or anything. So it's like well, you could be in the next room, or we could be in our room with it. We are in the room with us.
What, satellite,
Yeah.
satellite, isn't it?
Even though you're about
Talking of which-
about 1,500 miles away or something,
Yeah.
or a
Well,
good
it's about
1,000
3 hours.
miles away.
About a 3-hour flight. I don't know what that is in.
So I was going to put it down on the beginning of the video. Where exactly are you, James?
Near a place called Monchique in Portugal, which is the southwest corner. The port of the Gauls, the port of the Gaelics.
How do you spell Monchique then? Just
M-O-N... I'm just trying to think now. M-O-N-C-H-I-Q-U-E, I think.
flipping hell, I didn't put that down, James. Mind you, I can't spell that well, so. Right, I've got that then.
It's just
a point.
It's a strange-
Somewhere in Monchique, southern Portugal, is the alchemist magician James.
it's a fabulous way of life, and I thoroughly recommend it.
All right, we're coming.
But for it to work, the fundamental with this community, it's like no alcohol, no meat, and you got to be doing the language lessons of the heart, because that is when you're in a community, it's like you're married not to one person, you're married to a community, because you've got to interact with other people.
Yeah.
So it's not suppressing feelings, it's acknowledging them, and then not bringing them out as anger because, I don't like what you're doing, and then addressing it inside yourself. It's like, well, why don't I like that? Why do I find that offensive? And it's, you've got this nice harmonious energy. Otherwise, it sets up a feedback loop. If you're putting out a negative, you'll bring a negative back to yourself.
Yeah.
So that really is the most important part, and I'd recommend it's Julia's channel, Simplicity Revealed. Find the Language Lessons of the Heart playlist, LOTH, sorry. The guy's called Michael Harold. You can also find him on Facebook as well, and it is worth doing because you bring. I mean, I can't say I've got it right. There's still things inside me. I get annoyed with myself, but it's getting it under control so it doesn't spill out, and then because it's frightening in a way when you think about it.
Sorry,
If
somebody's
our
drilling
thoughts-
outside from us, so I don't know if everybody can hear that, but they're drilling away. Sorry about that. Carry on, James.
Dentist.
Can't hear that. It's weird, isn't it?
Well, I'm glad you can't. Hopefully nobody else can. Sounds like a dentist
Yeah,
gone
so
mad.
it's
He's going.
Snapping my teeth now.
Oh, there's nothing I could do about that, I'm afraid. I could hang
Yeah,
out
so
the
it's,
window and go shut up, but then they. I don't know who it is.
Do you mind?
It's probably them. What it is this is really bizarre, James. There is two people here who've been building, and they are slightly different shapes and sizes and that. But the ones across the road from me are bloody noisy. I mean, the most noise anybody can make. And the other ones built all that, and we never heard a word.
No.
I mean, sorry, we never heard anything. And they've built this whole thing, and they're really quiet. But the ones across the road, like it's probably them right now, making all that noise. And that's what they're like. They're just...
And you're in a cul-de-sac out there now. You're rebounding the sound.
Yeah, well, hopefully it doesn't really come across on the microphone.
Yeah.
I can't hear anything. All I can hear is the drill.
It's an interesting point because I do wonder about all this manufactured DIY stuff. Everything from hedge trimmers to electric lawnmowers and things. And it's like, why is it the tone or the picture of the things is so aggravating? Is that by design? Because
James, it's all by design. You're not supposed to run off to Portugal and have a nice life. Come on.
and leave us here
Well, now it's
in the shit.
I'd be a hypocrite if I didn't, because how can I advocate something unless I'm actually doing it myself?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's not for everyone. Not everybody wants to do it. But I do like the concept of a bit more of a community way. We're all helping each other, because we don't help each other at all in this
It's
one.
healthier, I'd say.
Get off! You just walked onto my drive by an inch. Get off! You know, everybody's more...
Yeah.
No one wants to help.
It's not just...
In your own time,
It's
please.
when you're seeing the entire process from planting the seed to the thing you're eating. You know what water's gone on it. You know it's not had any artificial fertilizers and no chemicals, and you can taste the difference on that alone. It's like I say, if I'm in
Well, there's
ever
also,
in any
isn't it,
doubt,
you know, made by love.
Energizing.
There's more love gone into growing those vegetables, so maybe they're nicer.
Yeah. Growing into
Oh yeah. Well, the orange and lemon trees, they're down the bottom, but they don't get watered. That's just nature does that. But the smell from the orange, the blossom, it's beautiful just sitting there. It's a fragrance. It's like, oh. And it's like, this is how oranges used to taste. This is like going back 4 or 5 decades.
Yeah, I don't like him because he's going to get nice big juicy oranges that taste nice, not some manufactured thing that are sour when you get them, you know? You're going to get the nice big, like, just the organic ones.
Well, not only that, the other part of it is there's no wastage with it. Because I'm in a teepee, I've got like a plastic sort of toilet seat box. So I put the orange peel in there, so it's got a nice sort of fragrance. So it acts as like a toilet cleaner. And the orange peel biodegrade, so there's absolutely zero wastage with any of this.
Those moments of, oh, that's what it used to taste like. This orange, oh, it is delicious. How oranges should taste. And there is the orange tree. There's not that many oranges on that one yet. Still a small tree, but beautiful, beautiful fruit. And then here is one of the lemon trees, and if you look carefully you can see there's a abundance. So I may even do a lemon juice fast for a few days, see how that goes. It's another sort of area of the creek. Just thought I'd share this moment, but I can't hold the phone and eat the orange, and oh, it's just a moment to savour. It's part of my sort of siesta part during this hotter part of the day, and then I go back to tanning soil. So it's a leisurely pace. There's no sort of 9 to 5 and got to get it done by this specific time. It's done when it's done. It's a completely different way of life, and it is one I would recommend to all of you. If you get the opportunity, or presented with the opportunity, or even if you manifest the opportunity, imagine yourself in a setting like eating. You can't get fresher than when you've just picked it off the tree. It's absolutely beautiful. Right, I should go back to enjoying this. Just noticed we got 144 there. So, little reference again, Dr. Juan Forfar reveals himself again. Yeah, so have a beautiful day. Meanwhile, back to the orange. Love to you all.
That's the amazing thing about it. There's nothing that judgment on and say, oh, that's apart from bramble. I'll make an exception.
And if you haven't got any bamboo cane outer casing or wood chip, there's always leaves. And there's this thing about, should you water plants when they're in direct sunlight? Well, I go with the basis of it rains and then it becomes sunny, so you will have rain droplets on the leaves. So, but what I would recommend is, like with something like this, just water below the plants, but I have managed to get some water on some of the lower leaves. So we'll see what happens. It's all a big learning curve. But it's really all about retaining moisture in the soil. So anything that will keep the bare earth covered to stop it drying out and stop the wind blowing the topsoil away. It's exactly what nature does. If you just look around, it deposits layers on top. And if you look at the way industrial farming is going, I think you can see that it's showing that man trying to overcome nature instead of working with it is something of a disaster. So all the more reason to go back to more ways nature shows us how to grow and how we can co-create in nature. Ta-ta for now.
I would say, James, not that I thought anything much when you were living in Scotland, but I suppose in your voice I can hear that you're a bit more satisfied with things.
Definitely.
Tone to your voice.
The real frustration, if there is such a thing, is what the mind is like creating the night before and planning to do the next day, and what the physical body can actually do. That's the only thing.
What,
That's the
you're
only real
dreaming,
limitation.
James? James has built a whole city.
Well, and obviously it's subject to when there's daylight, but that's the only sort of.
Oh, James, I
concept
want to
time
say
now.
that. James, don't you think it's a bit weird that Portugal's on the same time zone as England?
Just sticks out. They have to put the line somewhere, I suppose. But yeah, it does seem a bit odd.
Well, it's because we're
No,
not lying the way that they say we are. That's why. Because it goes
Well,
down
the whole
across
thing's
Africa.
weird.
It goes down across Africa as well. I think it's Lagos. They're
Well, the
on
whole
the same
thing's
time
weird.
zone.
Yeah. The whole
And
thing's
also,
weird when you
James,
think.
James, does it get darker for you the same like in the UK? Does it slowly get dark and then it's dark? Does it get dark really quickly? And what time does it get light and what time is it getting dark for you?
Well, currently the sun will disappear behind the hill about 8 o'clock. By 8:30, it's like seems to go in sudden increments of getting. You've got about half an hour. By 9 o'clock, it's dark. Apparently, it increases till about 10 o'clock at night of daylight. By the time we get to the summer solstice, but yeah,
Because here
like
it's different. I mean, in Scotland, it would have been a lot lighter. But for me, it's getting dark. It's getting the sun comes up about 5. It's probably going back to 4, but it's going back to 4 o'clock in the morning because it starts getting in June solstice. It's about 3:30. The light comes, and then the sun comes a bit after that. And then in the summer it gets dark. You know, you said 10 o'clock. It's 11 o'clock, and even at 11:30, there's still a bit of light in the sky. It's dark, but you can still see the light in the sky. North.
I used to love it going on the M3 about 3 o'clock in the morning in the middle of the summer, and it's like practically daylight and there's no traffic. It was an absolute pleasure. But I've experienced that in Sweden. It's like 11:30 at night. The sun disappears behind the hill. An hour later, it's daylight again, and there's no one about. It's amazing. That's all like
when I
halfway
was in
up.
Denmark, I saw a midnight sun, and it was coming back. I'm not even sure what I saw anymore. And it looked like, you know, when you look in the sky and the moon's got some clouds on it on the horizon sort of thing. That's what it looked like. But that was the sun coming back.
Well, it's something I mentioned on a recent video, because a lot of people are triggered by the word simulation or matrix, but I tend to think of it in terms of, you know, on those alien films, you've got the space marines and they're going in what looks like caves, but they're actually excretions of that alien creature where it's building its nest. And I think the problem is we haven't got a singular word. But I'd go for something like biocomputer, so like a living metal, something in a form that maybe we don't actually see or experience in this reality that's like above us. Because as far as I can see, there is like some sort of like girder thing up there, but it's like a living metal. the fact that everything has got a Fibonacci sequence that contains a golden spiral. There's a source of that mathematical thing that comes from somewhere, which shows that it's some sort of program. But it's like if you're tuned into a particular frequency on a radio station, you're not aware of the other radio station. So I think it's the limitations of the physical senses used in the external. But when you use the senses on the internal, it opens up a far bigger universe of possibility. And it again comes down to if imagination creates reality, we can create all sorts of things. And certainly they seem to come into a physical form, like with the onions.
Most of us don't have the
nowhere.
time to do it, James, and now you've got all the time. So that is a little bit of a difference, but you've changed your life as well, so...
I've made it so. I basically put out a virtual post-it note to the universe and said, I'm not happy with... I appreciate the situation with the hermit cage, but I feel it's time. I need to move on and do something else. It's like another year, another spring, another growing season, and I'm getting frustrated. It's not ticking the boxes on the food that I wish to be eating. So I gave it to the universe. It's like, I can't work this one out. I can't solve it. You're the universe. You solve it for me. I acknowledge that whatever it is has created it, and I'm asking for your help, and it's responded. It's that simple. It's like if the desire is there and you really wish for something, go to the end and imagine how it would feel to actually have it and experience it. And then it also comes down to the question of, in this material reality, what the number one thing seems to all be about data collection. So it's like, well, what would be the equivalent of data collection in the metaphysical? And as far as I can see, it's collecting experiences. So, wow, that butterfly I've never seen before. Look at the amazing colours on that. Look at that spider's web. Look at all these beautiful things. And just a series of moments. That's the real news. They're moments. And if you haven't got the phone with me to capture a picture of it, it's gone.
Oh, I know. I feel a bit
But
like that. You can't always live on your phone for these things. So I think, where's my phone? Where's the phone? I want to film this. Sometimes...
Well, there's the battery.
You want the proof, don't you? Show the proof, but sometimes it doesn't work out like that.
But that's the thing with the metaphysical. It's like, you know it to be true from you personally experience it, but you can't demonstrate it to the outside world. There's loads of people, it's like, I had this happen to me, or I've seen a UFO or whatever, and a lot of people say, yeah, right. But it didn't happen to them, and they can't visualize it. Actually, I did see one the other day. It looked like a star, but the speed it was going and the sort of jerking movements, so I don't know what it was. When I say UFO, I'm not going to say greys and aliens. It's just something that was, I couldn't identify. It definitely wasn't an aircraft, and it definitely wasn't the star, so it remains unidentified, and it's gone. But I didn't have my phone handy. And no one about to say, come look at this, quick.
Well, again, I was looking up one night and I saw a star move. It didn't even move that far, but it went left, and I thought, oh my God.
That's the thing. One
Didn't
side
have
of
my
it, it's not
phone,
like we can go. It's not like we can go to the outside of it and look in at it, and from the other side and say, this is what we're in, or this is what this thing is, that this life experience we're going through. We can only see it from the inside. We're in whatever this biosphere, whatever it is.
I think also I like the fact when you're talking that's kind of what you've got where you're living. You know, you've got something that's nice, because it'd be awful if James went out there, he's doing everything possible, and he thinks, oh God, I shouldn't be here, it's horrible. So I'm really glad that you like where you are. It's not even just what you're doing, you like where you are with the people.
Well, I'm thinking long term. I'm thinking, okay, what's the lifespan of an orange tree, which apparently is about 60 years. So I'm not just thinking about growing an orange tree so I've got oranges. I'm thinking about, what legacy am I going to leave? I mean, maybe as a spirit, I'll
There'll
come
be
back in
the
another
sign
body.
to say James was here.
I may be creating something that I then come back to experience again. I don't know, but it's like, well, I want to leave a legacy of something beneficial, and sort of part of this community is like, there is another way to live.
I think you like it because it's peaceful, James.
Yeah, you've got this beautiful symphony of nature.
It's the whole thing's peaceful.
Well, when the birds stop, you then become more aware of this, like this undertone of all these insects. Then you got the birds on top of that, and then you got the sound of the wind with the trees and everything. It is peaceful and beautiful, and I wouldn't swap to
One of my
it. I don't think I'll
one of
ever.
my fairy decks, my tarot deck, said that that's what we should be. Turn the televisions off and listen to the trees rustling. They're giving you messages.
Oh yeah, they communicate through the roots. It said that if you sit under a tree for 24 hours, it will see you for 1 second, because their senses and time spans are completely different.
Wow.
But we're not that dissimilar. But it's like, well, I pee freely, but I'm not going to pee freely to the system and give it back to the system. It's got medicinal value. I've washed my hair in my own urine before now. I only
think
stopped
it's
doing it because
something
of
about being a better person than you were before, and each day, if you can, and growing each day. A lot of us think, "Oh, I've got that now. We don't have to try. I've got a relationship. I don't have to try. I've got everything." But every day you're learning, every day you're growing, and if that doesn't happen, you die within.
Yeah, it's not even trying. There's no effort. It sort of becomes natural. So it's like learning to drive. It's not. I've got to think.
Well, you did
I've got
totally
to put the foot
change
on
it. One day you're in Glasgow. It's raining, cold, and nobody wants to talk to each other. The next day you're in the Bahamas, shorts, no top. Oh, I mean, it's the countryside. It's like the complete opposite, jungle like.
Well, funny enough, you say that. About 2 days before I left Scotland, I went to, it's like a burger van just down the road. So I went and had some chips, and it did a little fine rain, so I stood in it because I thought, I don't know when I'm ever going to experience either again. So, I mean, chips. But there is something about, like, the sort of UK cafe food, your English cafe food, the body, I do get craving. I had a craving for a Mars bar of all things the other day. But if you just sat one in front of me, especially in this climate, I wouldn't want to eat it anyway. But the wrap of that sort of plasticky sound to it, and the colours of the black and the red, and in fact it says Mars on it. But it's like, what a weird thing to come up. It's like, why have I this weird craving? But then that's like, oh, I need to explore this. Maybe that's just the brain is interpreting a signal from the body, or maybe the body's just.
It's funny. It's a Mars.
Well, I'm
Get your ass to Mars.
I can't say they were a sort of a real favourite, so I don't know why that would even come up. That was why it's stuck in the mind, because it's like, oh, that's a weird thing to have as a craving. But it ain't going to happen. I'll have a strawberry or I'll have some grapes.
We'll probably
or something
come across
like
it as an ice cream next.
Yeah. Well, I can recall the taste of all these things, and then it's like, that's as satisfying as eating it, to be honest. And I haven't got to eat the things, because we're pretty much eliminated. Well, yeah, I have eliminated all dairy as well now. So, but when you look at it said about all the Greek philosophers, Plato and such like, they're all supposed to have been frugivores and ate nothing but fruit. So, and to me, that's like the most easy, natural way. It's like if you just hold out your hand and the tree drops, you're not even going to dig it up or cut it or prepare it. It's like in your hand, and you can peel it or bite it. What could be easier than that? So that's the other reason I'm putting in a lot of hours now. It's like, let's get the first few years, really put the effort in, get the things all landscapes created so we can get it functioning and really going. and then finding ways of doing things with hand tools rather than using electric.
Well, like you say,
things.
you were telling Mickey that every bit of wood is crucial and you're reusing it, and as time goes on, and maybe, I don't know, you come across a bit of money or something, then you build something a little bit different. But that's what happens in evolution, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, well, it depends on, it's like, looking at what materials you got, and it's like, what can I use it for? And then just let the idea come. But I thought, well, we need a compost mulching machine, as it were, and the easiest way to do it is just build a box. And then you put all the leaves in, a little bit, even rotten lemons, some that have dropped and sat there, I'm putting those in, putting a bit of urine in, keep it moist. As long as it's in contact with the earth so the worms can come up, they will do the work. That's the other thing. If you've got bees and you've got worms, you've got a workforce. You haven't even got to pay them.
Pollinators.
Well, with the bees as well, you give them the honey back in the winter, you build up this relationship with them. That's fantastic. I love the idea of that. I'd love to have a sleeve of bees. It's just like I've seen this guy on a video. It's like his arm is just covered in bees. They've got built up that much trust with them. I mean, that really being in harmony with nature, isn't it? What could be better than that? What an experience to aim for.
They don't sting me at all.
Monique's got some bees, really? And she was explaining, I think a hive died, but she's got some more in. But she said they're quite old-fashioned little bees, but she said you have to be a little bit careful because they could sting you. Those ones aren't so evolved then with the humans. Stay over there. Gotcha. Stay there.
That's probably to do with our magnetic field. If you're going in with a feeling of fear of being stung, that's probably putting out an energy that the bees are interpreting. They see you as they pick up on fear and think, oh, you're a threat. But
I had some. I can't remember if they were wasps. I think they might have even been wasps, but they liked a tree in my garden. It was a willow tree, and they were taking the sap off of it. And there were so many, and they came out, and I had to capture some. I did it one day, and I didn't like it. They were all in there going hum, hum, and I thought, I'm never doing this again. I wasn't going to let them out. I thought they might kill me, but I thought, oh. But anyway, what it was is that as long as you don't suddenly put your arm up, just walk through them. So we learnt to walk through the things.
I've never had a problem.
We never got stung by them. They were there for a couple of months. If you had to go in the garden, you had to walk through all the wasps flying around the tree to take this stuff. I don't think they were bees. I can't remember now. It's a long time ago.
Right.
Well, and that's when I learned, because he saw them in the tree, that pigeons, is it pigeons? They nest twice a year.
44%.
Sorry? What are you laughing at, James? James! Oh, look at that!
Sorry, it completely cut out.
You're back. Yay! And we're here, James. We can hear you. Can you hear us? Oh, we had an hour though. We had an hour and 5 minutes. Well, about an hour. It didn't play up for an hour.
I was laughing because I looked at the phone. It said 44% battery. It's the number I get all the time. It was 144 or 44.
Oh,
it's like that's a weird. Anyway, I'm going to have to go because I've got to do some watering.
He's got to go back to work. Oh, it's really nice chatting to you, James. We haven't chatted for a while now, have we?
It's been fun.
I'm so glad you're happy. Huh?
Yeah, it's superb.
Mickey?
Yeah?
You'll say something?
You're lucky, man. Stay lucky. What I say.
You get the opportunity or create the opportunity to do it.
I will,
it's
brother.
worth doing.
Mickey was going to end it with me and go and live with James.
That's it, we're going. Double TP.
That's it, I'm off, Karen.
Bring
Yeah.
the massive tent down. Yeah, I do.
Oh, I'm glad you're happy, James.
Really sweet. Really good.
Well, we'll catch up again. We got an hour, so that's good, isn't it? And I'm going to nick a couple of your videos to stick in here to show people what you're doing.
Yeah, it's just fantastic.
Okay.
Well, I'm going to, obviously, I'll get in touch with you in a week or two's time and see how you're going and everything. And, well, I'll be messaging you.
Okay. Take care then.
Big loves, James.
Thanks, James.
Bye.
Bye, Dylan. Bye, Dylan. Ah, that was brilliant. We're still recording here. Oh, look, he's drilling again. I didn't think that was going to happen. We must have spoken for about 10 minutes before, and James was going,
At the beginning, yes.
Yeah,
They say, got a good hour.
yeah, brilliant.
That's
Anyway,
fantastic.
thanks very much, James. Thank you,
Thank
Mickey.
you, James. Thank you, Karen. Thank you, James.
Right, I have to finish it off because we're...